Welcome everyone to the first episode of Masks and Mirrors. We are here today to discuss some important matters of the mind, which we believe should be discussed more openly and frequently, but are not in our daily lives. Hi, I'm Malvika, and I'm joined here today with my dear friend Navneet on this journey.
Thanks, Malvika, and welcome everyone to the first episode of Mask and Mirror. Over the next few sessions, we are going to have some simple conversations on matters of mind with a practicing psychologist, Asta Luwalia. Hi, Asta, welcome on board, and thank you so much for agreeing to be part of Mask and Mirrors.
Hi Navneet, thank you so much for having me here today.
I'll straight away get into the first question, which is why is asking for help so difficult, especially in our culture and with respect to feelings and emotions?
So that's a very good question to start with, Navneet. There are a few things that we need to keep in mind, that we come from a society where there is a severe lack of awareness. Now, lack of awareness for psychological concerns, for mental health concerns, and for mental health in general. People are not very open talking about, and it's been severely stigmatized as well. Also, one of the reasons for that is that mental illness or mental health concerns are not physically visible. We don't, if I've got hurt on my knee, I can sense the pain, I can feel it, there is a physicality to it. But when I'm feeling low and sad or when I'm depressed, there is no physicality to it. Not very prominent physicality. So that's one reason. The other reason is that there is a very illness mindset that we have towards mental health, which basically means that we look at mental health as a mental illness. And if I can say this in a vernacular way, tu pagal hai kya? Or are you crazy is something that we hear a lot when we speak of or think about mental health. So this mindset and this general cultural association with mental health stops a lot of people from actually getting into seeking help or just taking that first step to seek help. Another thing that stops people from getting help is that they feel that others will not understand them, or people might judge them. Right, so these are reasons by which people, they feel they hold themselves back. They don't want to, get out. Also, they don't know where to ask. Accessibility is a big question. Maybe in a Delhi, Bombay, or Calcutta, Chennai, Bangalore, Hyderabad, these are places which are more developed, where you might read of psychologists and mental health institutes or centers present. But in smaller cities, that accessibility is not there, that visibility is not there, and that conversation is not there. So these are reasons why people feel that even if they might be feeling something, sensing something, they might just hold themselves back and not go forward.
And therefore they don't even realize what is happening to them when they decide not to go for help. Like, what I'm trying to understand is that, let's suppose I'm not feeling comfortable, right?
Yeah.
And I don't even know what is this mental health and how do you seek help. What will it do to me if I decide still not to go ahead for it?
Like how our body has an immune system, our mind also has a beautiful immune system. There is something known as a general adaptation syndrome model, which basically says that when we experience stress in our life, if our general functioning is here, our functioning will go down. Like, for example, if I have experienced a severe emotional breakdown in my life, it will impact the way I think, or maybe it will impact the way I concentrate at work. So what it will do is it will impact my work and my level of functioning will go down. However, that lower level of functioning will continue for a very long time because we very quickly adapt to that, right? So we have a very long period of adaptation where we are continuously functioning at a lower level without realizing. But then the moment there is another stress, another trigger, or we reach a point of fatigue, very quickly we will go down. So when we decide not to seek help, or when we don't seek help, what we are actually doing is we are wasting our window period of recovery, and we are putting ourselves in a more vulnerable position to feel, to sort of get our mental health impacted even more.
Interesting. And then how do we decide when to seek help and when is the right time?
I'm so glad you asked me this question, because this will give me some time to explain to you that there is a mental health continuum, and also I want to bust that myth around why that mental health is only illness. There is a continuum of mental health which is which has healthy mindset on one end and an ill mindset on the other end. But in between there are other phases as well, right? Like, a healthy mindset is a mindset which is well functioning. The individual is able to do what they want to do, is able to function well, thrive in life, grow, do activities, learn new things, etc., etc. Having said that, they also experience negative emotions or low emotions or feelings or negative thoughts and stresses from the environment, but they are able to bounce back or come out of it. That's a healthy mindset. Like most of us are in a healthy mindset. Then is the reacting mindset. Reacting mindset is when an individual is reacting to the situation, meaning that because of a severe stressful situation, either internally or externally, the individual is reacting in a way that their functioning is starting to get affected a little bit, like getting easily irritated, quickly getting angry, like that. So that's a reacting space. Now, healthy and a reacting mindset does not always require very, very professional intervention. However, sometimes when we are in a reacting phase, talking to a professional can help us understand our thoughts and feelings a little better and manage them better. Wow. Then we come to the other end of the continuum, the more red side of the continuum, the orange rather, which is the injured. Injured, as the name suggests, is when our mind is hurt. It's hurting. Our daily functioning is starting to get impaired. I would not be as functional at work as I would want to be. I would not be able to enjoy things that I would otherwise do. So these kind of impairments in our behavior start to come in when we are injured, and that is when we definitely require a psychological support. And then the other end is illness. Now illness, though influences a very small percentage of people, but illness is when there is a clinically diagnosable mental health concern which has severely impacted our daily functioning for at least 2 to 4 weeks at a stretch. So when we hear words like schizophrenia, neurosis, mood disorders, bipolar disorders, all of this lie in the injured and ill category, and this is when we need a psychiatric as well as a psychological support system. So when to seek help? You can seek help anytime you want. Now, seeking help doesn't always mean that there is something wrong with you, so you need to fix that. It can mean that you're just trying to understand something about yourself, understand your thoughts and your mind better, or it can be that there is a significant impairment in your life or in your functioning which you want to fix.
It's very interesting when you talk about continuum when we speak about mental health, because this is the very first time that I've heard someone talk about mental health in the spectrum rather than being fit or unfit. The other thing that you've mentioned is that there's a lot of stigma attached to it, and when you are talking about the continuum, you mentioned certain things. When I've heard with my friends in conversations that they mention that they're not as excited about doing something that they were previously happy to do, and or they just get very irritable when in our interactions or their day to day. So when would you say is a good time to reach out and tell your friend or relative that they might need external help? How do you decide the time, and then what is the way that you approach this conversation?
That's a very sensitive question, Malvika. Thank you so much for asking that, because I think it's very important for us to know how we address mental health concerns in people around us. See, any friend or a relative or a person who you're close to is the first respondent to your emotional state, to your mental state, because they're the ones who are observing you, they're the ones who are taking care of you. So it's important for us to know definitely that we should talk about and we should give our feedback about that they might not be that we might be observing something in our friend or relative relating to their behavior change or the way they are reacting to situations, etc. However, what is more important is how we do it. Are we doing it with like a lot of people say, and I've heard this, especially the millennials, I've heard this a lot when they say dude, you need help. So the moment we say that has a very negative, sarcastic connotation to it, that there's something wrong with you, and you need to fix that. Whereas seeking help essentially means, or therapy essentially means, to grow, right? We take therapy to grow, not to fix something that is broken. Yes, there might be impairments and issues and concerns that an individual might have, but the idea is to grow. So when we speak to a person, it's very important that we recognize that they would benefit from say speaking to a counselor or a psychologist or a therapist or even going to a psychiatrist for that matter. The tone should not be very accusational. It should be more receptive and open, and judgment. We should completely refrain from judging people and saying.
So I have friends who have gone through therapy, and I've seen them, go through a very troubling time, because that's the time when they are readjusting to certain things that they were blind to, certain things that they were ignoring, and it becomes very emotionally taxing. So how do you prepare for that?
Yes, it can be a very emotional journey, because we do come to realize a lot of different things about us. What is important here is to communicate what you're feeling to your therapist. It's very important for your therapist to know that how the therapy is impacting you. Yes, it is about, sometimes, depending on what school of thought you take, it is sometimes about going into your past, it is about, opening those, bags of worms, and it is about, talking about things that you haven't spoken about for so many years. But how that impacts you, your therapist needs to know that. So it's important. Also, it will help the individual manage their own emotional state when they talk about how they're feeling and how the therapeutic process is making them feel. So extremely important to verbalize it and share it with the therapist. It will reduce the emotional burden of it.
We are at the last part of the first episode, and the last question I would want to understand from you is, what are the main reasons for someone to stop seeking help? I'm asking both from a perspective of someone who's been seeking help regularly. So when does he or she decide that that's good enough now, versus someone who goes, checks out, but for certain reasons decides not to continue?
Therapy is structured, it's goal based, it's not never ending. So when we feel that the initial concern that we came with has been resolved, and we have inculcated the tools, techniques, the coping that we require to manage our life ahead, that's when we can decide to opt out of therapy. Also a conversation that we need to have with our therapist, right? Also, for a lot of people, what works is very objective intervention plan, like a 5-session plan or a 10-session plan or an 8-session plan, in which they address a very specific concern, use tools and techniques to manage that and get out of it. And the moment you feel that, okay, yes, I can tick my box and I can check it and I can say that I've achieved it, that's when you know that it's time to end therapy.
Thanks so much, Astha, for your time. I believe the answers were extremely valuable, and honestly, I don't think either Malvika or I were expecting that we'll get so much of, new insights into this entire space, right? We thought that it's just easy and simple. So thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
That's it from Malvika and myself for the first episode. We hope you really enjoyed what you saw and heard today. And it does play some role in your life in terms of getting answers to the questions that you were looking for. We will be back with second episode soon. Till then, take care of yourself, all the best, and let's keep the conversation going on. Cheers.
What would you define as toxicity?
Why do people behave toxic?
One person in the relationship will definitely feel less than the other.